Welcome to the Crescent City, where Vital Options is in New Orleans with ASH, the American Society of Hematology. Clinicians today are so very busy with their clinical responsibilities. I think it's really remarkable that on top of what you do with patients, that you are taking time out to become, in your own way, a public policy advocate. And I'd like to understand a little bit, how did you come to carve this into your life?
It immediately becomes apparent when you take care of patients such as the ones I do, that they have a vast number of other challenges that they're facing aside from a diagnosis of cancer and therapy and the side effects therein. So you need to assist with those, because if you don't, your mission of the Hippocratic Oath of caring for patients, and seeing them well and managing their therapy is incomplete. So
I must ask, though, how much did frustration motivate you, because you had to just react?
The story of the therapies for chronic myeloid leukemia, it really set an example of how many different times you would potentially interact with public policy. It began with, is such a therapy like Gleevec going to be effective? So funding was a challenge. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society was able to really foster the first clinical trials. When the compound was known to be effective, pressure needed to be put on industry to manufacture the drug. There was a shortage temporarily. When drugs became approved, other drugs were studied, and we immediately began to face the issue of parity and access for patients between companies, between insurers. In 2013, in just the last few weeks, we faced a challenge where important safety discussions are ongoing, but yet there are patients who are dependent on therapies that are being further investigated. And those patients need continued therapy. They can't have access to the therapies become too challenging, or physicians' access to those drugs become too challenging. So patient advocacy roles have been constant in my field, and again, I feel it's necessary to partner. And it's incredibly rewarding. I really see it as part of our job. And everyone can do something in whatever disease area they're in to some degree.
It's such a dynamic shift in the way the relationship between the physician community and the advocate community used to be. I remember when I started my work, really it was 30 years ago, of course, but it was such an uphill thing to get the physician community to accept how vitally important it is and was to embrace this collaboration with the advocate community. Today it's a very different story.
Agreed.
And I think that the partnership that's been forged and the recognition for clinicians understanding that they cannot meet their objectives without a strong advocacy alliance.
It's an acknowledgement of the organization and the growth of advocacy, because it began with just the simple organization and an additional way to touch patients to help them to complement their care. But now it's graduated to the point of where we're advocating for rapidity in research.
Yes.
We're seeing research presentations from advocacy groups that complement the primary scientific research we do as clinicians. That's how close we are. We're literally on the same page at this point. We have the same agendas. We're running in parallel. There's so much complementarity between them, and we almost rely on each other now for clinical trial enrollment and information sharing and dissemination of things people need to know for their disease and their treatment.
Thank you very much for both shedding light and giving perspective to some of the urgency that we face right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.